Thanks, Michael. Thanks, Brian. Thanks for everybody for coming. I can see he's all concerned. He will be after I finish with this. It's not a very good bit of information I'm going to pass to you. All right, I want everybody to do their own research. Do not believe a word I'm going to tell you. Not one word. Do your own research. It's very important because this is unbelievable. I always start off my lectures like that. I tell people it's unbelievable because it is even unbelievable to me. But I will explain and I'll paint a picture for people. I just want everybody to understand the existential threat that we all suffer through 5G. Yes, I will try my best. Anybody gets stuck with the accent, I've got a helper here. He can do any translation. Is that all right, Lee? Yeah, we'll get some words up later on. 5G is unlawful. It's an illegal rollout. What I mean by that, there's no research at all to show that it's safe. Zero. Now, I knew that. This is battlefield equipment. It's to do harm. It's got nothing to do with telecommunications. That's 5 gigahertz, which is quite interesting because your telecommunications companies, as we speak, are rolling out 5 gigahertz frequency signals. A bit confusing, that. It's deliberate. It's called deception. It's deliberate deception by the people who we pay to give us telecommunications, because 5G is not telecommunications. It's a weapon system. And I'll explain that, and it is unbelievable, by the way, but I will explain that. Recently, US Congress, after information that they have received, has asked the industry and others, the FCC, the FDA, to an industry to give them the research data on product development. Every product in your home, every product in your car's got a standard to it. Telecoms are no different. Telecoms are even more standardized because it can be shown to be harmful. So the phone in your pocket has actually got a standard. I just admit there isn't any. None. No standard around 5G. The reason for that is I knew, and as Congress would find out to their dismay, because a weapon. Weapons are made to harm, not to pass standards. So, it's an indictable crime, because in breach of the Nuremberg Code, Nuremberg Code's pretty straightforward. What it says is, you cannot use any experimental test equipment on humans. Number one, their full knowledge. And if in any animal test that technology is proven to be harmful, you can't use it at all. This technology kills animals in the laboratory. So it is most certainly in breach, so it's most certainly an indictable offence as we speak. As all product developments have to go through a full product test. I'm going to give you a bit of background about me, because some confusion about who I am. I've heard a lot of narrative, government agents, etc., about who I am. I'm an inventor. I've done quite a lot of product developments. I've got a lot of IP. That's one of mine. That's a waveguide, optical waveguide, and internally part of that helmet. It was actually built for the battle space. It was tested in a motorsports helmet. It's to mitigate the microwave radiation weapon on the battlefield. So actually give you a head-up display system. So we can actually have a full battlefield helmet system to mitigate the weapon. That was it. I built that. It's one of the products I've been involved with. I've been in product development for over 30 years. I'm going to run through these pretty quickly, because obviously I've got a lot of slides here and I don't want to bore anybody. I want to really get to the nubs of the matter. That's a head-up display system. I've invented these for the military purposes. All right, and you'll see that. That's a 560 nanometers frequency. That's why it's green. That's not very safe, by the way. If I fire him through a canopy, that'll probably kill him, because I'll punch them things through his head. But that's a necessity on the battle space, right? So the weaponry can be actually fired. Because what normally happens, see the screen on the front of there? See that there? Radium coated. What's in my pocket? That reflects the radiation back out. Mitigates weapon systems, the radar systems that he will suffer in the front of that plane or that helicopter. That's helicopter helmet, by the way. Let's move on a little bit. This is going to show you how dangerous light is. This is pulse modulated light from an LED. This is blue. That's cell viability. These are in vitro cells, retinal cells, human retinal cells, and you'll see survivability just about, it's about 20%. Full spectrum, 20%, 560 nanometers. So now you know why we use green light in a weapon sight system. He does have a few issues by that, by the way, and you only use it for a few minutes. However, that's why it's green, because it's less biologically active. These are the LEDs, by the way. These are LEDs. All right. This is an interesting set of images. It's going to explain what pulse modulated full spectrum light can do. See the uniformity? That's a metallized coating internally in that beam wave. All right. See the uniformity? That's what that does. That optical radiation. Now, can you imagine what that would do to somebody's retina? This is what I call killer technology. That's what they call it. They call it killer tech. I call it killer tech. You can see why it's killer tech, because it'll kill you. Obviously, that technology failed. The reason why it failed was because giving people a pain in the head, pain in the eye, and obviously it didn't work because it damaged that. Now, there's a lot of confusion about what this is. This is 5G. Because 5G, the architecture, and what they hang it on, is this light. You've seen the lights outside. You've got 5G here, by the way. That's what they look like to me. Well, thinking about ripping the one down later and having a real look at it, because I really do need to look underneath. Right? So if somebody fancies doing that for her, excellent. I could really do with having a look at the antenna underneath that, because that thing there just looks like a basic dipole antenna. Right? I'll show you a picture of what it is in a minute, but it's not. This is a 25 milliwatt, 100% continuous. Now, what I mean by 25 milliwatt, the maximum I can expose you to is 1 for 6 minutes. This is 25, and it's on continually. That fitment, next to a child's bedroom window there, it's even in breach of the manufacturer's instructions. Councils are fitting these willy-nilly all over. So that's an unlawful fitment. There's been no warning, no risk assessment, a total disregard to the law. That's in Swole. It's a small village area. It's in Gateshead in the northeast of England. You've got the exact same ones outside. Well, I'm not saying, I cannot be 100% sure. I'm pretty sure. We'll try and get one later, and we'll find out. But they cause sore eyes, headaches, shoulder pain. This type of radiation is absolutely lethal. It's experimental. It's an 868. How I came across this, I had neighbours bleeding from the nose and reporting it to me, and I measured the radiation in their bedrooms. It wasn't very good. We had radiation over the Council of Europe 1815 resolution, all of it, so in breach of the direction of the international courts. And that's it there. Now, there's some people came to Gateshead to tell me that it wasn't 5G. These were so-called industry experts. It's not 5G, hiding underneath that dipole antenna. Well, I'm going to show you what 5G is. Densification. It's 31,875 of them. It didn't matter what it operated on, whether it was 2G, 3G, 4G. Didn't matter, because densification is one of the technical parameters of 5G. 31,875 in Gateshead, small little borough. But the other technical parameters of 5G, this is what was hiding underneath that dipole, what looks like a dipole antenna. So for a lay person, it looks like an old antenna that would be on the top of your car. It's not. That there is a scanner. Scan your home. 3D map your home with that. This little bit at the top. I had a little bit of a run-in with one of the lighting guys, and he threw it at us, so I've got one. That's it there. I said something about baby killing. He got himself a bit upset. Well, I got upset because he started to laugh. I didn't think it was funny at all. The judge didn't think it was funny at all as well, because when they dragged us into court, the judge said, "Did Mr. Steele, why did you sit?" Because I did swear at him, and I'm not going to swear yet, because obviously mixed company. But I did swear at him, because obviously I think it is quite a terrible thing for anybody to laugh, thinking that a baby would die. This will kill a baby in the womb. That scanner. Some people, like I said, came up to experts to support the government agents that wanted to dispel the fact that this was 5G. 5G has been rolled out since 2011, that I know of. 2011, in secret. So what they did, they came to Gates and they measured this in the sub-gigahertz range and said it's not 5G because 5G doesn't operate in the sub-gigahertz. Wrong. The blanket coverage for 5G is sub-gigahertz. It's so that they can see into the urban environment. What really made me suspicious was because it's long-range radar. So my radar was up because I knew that the 868 had been part of the Ministry of Defence and was for long-range radar, because it travels through the urban environment pretty well. Very, very sophisticated equipment, by the way. But when I got one through with it, that's the bit that really got me interested, because that's what's called a direct energy weapon. That's not just for scanning you, that's for shooting you. The other bit, now this is Harvard Technologies equipment. They've recently just went into administration, surprisingly. Might have been something I said. But what it says here, backhauling. Backhauling data from the multitude of devices in the built environment. What that means is spying. It's spying on you. This can spy on you in your home. It can see you. It can actually, what it says there, smart waste collection. What that means is looking in your bin. Park and winter maintenance, flood detection. They can actually see how much snow's on the ground. This technology's moved on significantly. This is from Harvard Technology, the people who manufactured this piece of hardware. Well, they didn't, as it happens. It's made in China. They're basically just a warehouse. They're given £20 million by the British government to run a quango, to run a weapon system out on top of my countrymen, women and children. So you can see I'm not very happy about it. Here's an interesting thing. You see the LED streetlights we were talking about before? This is a part of the weapon. It's called soft kill. Unbelievable. I know I said before, you'll not believe it. Do your research. It says this here, it's a risk group 2. It's risk group 2. It is a 1 brine, by the way. But they've said it's a 2. We'll give them a buy, because I always like to use their information. So it's a 2. It's a pulse modulated 450 nanometers blue phosphor coated LED. If you want to get cancer, that'll give you cancer. They've only been in Barcelona less than 3 years and have doubled the breast and prostate cancer. Blue phosphor, blue radiation. You saw this cellular damage to the retina from the earlier images. This leaks about 25% of that. Now, that little document there tells the man fitting it, you must wear hazardous optical radiation, and you must wear eye protection. Anybody tell you you've got to wear eye protection when you're driving around on the motorway with these? Has anybody been told that this is hazardous to life? Your local authorities are fitting them all over the place at a pace, and I didn't see any warnings. What's really interesting, these are variable pulse modulated. The antenna on the top also allows you to actually increase the optical radiation. The damage is frequency specific, by the way. It's not exactly pulse. It's not exactly the power density. It can be the pulse modulation, because if I pulse it at different frequencies, I can even make it more dangerous. This is also part of a weapon system. They're pretending to us that this is going to save energy, because that's what they're telling you. They'll run these LED streetlights out to save energy, but I can tell you now, they are most certainly not what they say they are. And they can most certainly be weaponized pretty quickly with that control mechanism on the top. What's really interesting, AMA, ANSIS, Shear's Emerging Risk Team, Public Health England, John O'Hagan, Professor John O'Hagan, who me and John's locked horns on a few occasions, because he's very laissez-faire when it comes to safety. He even says these are risky to children, and your local authorities still rolling them out. So what it tells you is there's an agenda there. There's an agenda. I don't know what that agenda is. I don't do agendas. Well, that's what they say. That's what they say. But by the time they've killed everybody from them, believe us, they'll not be paying any rates.
But you were talking about increasing optical radiation.
Yeah.
Isn't that just me making them brighter?
Increasing up. Oh, that's the trick. That's fantastic. So if I slow down the square wave pulse modulation on a night time. The what's that? Oh. No, I'm confusing you. I'm not confusing anybody else. I'm confusing you. What I'm telling you, it's a weapon system. Are you not listening? I said it was a weapon system. Right. Well, all right. Well, I've just showed you, right, the damage from blue phosphor coated LEDs. Are you not watching it?
I'm watching it.
I've just showed you it. I've just showed you it. Yeah. Part of it. The main blanket coverage for 5G sub-gig. It is absolutely sub-gig. I want to go back because this chap obviously didn't listen to what I was saying. That there, watch. Cell viability. So you don't understand the science. You don't understand. Well, I would just leave. Just go. Just go. Just go. Just go. Do you work for the council? Do you work for the council? Do you work for the council? Who do you work for? You're retired. Well, who did you work for? Well, it matters to me because if you can't understand, if you have difficulty understanding that, right, I'm at a loss. Right. I can't believe it. So what's that? I don't do agendas. Don't actually do it. All I do is science. This is science. What I'm showing you here, that's a blue LED emission. That's the cell function, the cell viability. Sorry, that's the cell viability there. Has anybody told you you've got to wear protective eyewear when those LED streetlights are on? Anybody told you? Ask yourself the question, why? Let's go back, right? Because unfortunately that gentleman should have stayed a little bit longer. So I'll give him a bigger surprise when he gets to the end. Believe us. If he thinks he's scared now, because some people do get scared, this is the truth. What I'm speaking is the truth. People may not like it, but unfortunately, we have to face up to this. Because yes, they are going to kill you. And they are people that do as they're told. People that just acquiesce. People that don't stop and go, we're not going to have this anymore. That's who they are. Public Health England have said these are dangerous. They're risky to children. Your councils are still rolling them out. AMA, ANZIs, SHIA, Emerging Risk Group. These aren't scaremongering. These are the public bodies that we pay to protect us who are saying these are risky, and your governments are still rolling them out. Here's some science. Exeter, Barcelona, LED streetlights may double cancer risk, new research. Alright? May, does. People are dying already. This little document on the left-hand side is quite interesting. Health and Social Care Act. The Secretary of State's duty is the protection of public health. What it actually says here, the protection of the public from ionising and non-ionising radiation. It's in breach of his duty. The science is absolutely damning. That's all I do. All I do is the science. 1815 resolution, 200 millivolts, the maximum you'll be exposed to from a transmitter on the top of those LED streetlights. Right, this is the lawful resolution on the amount of radiation you can be exposed to. Those transmitters that they've just fitted to the lighting outside of this building are actually putting levels of radiation significantly higher than this. The minimum level we are measuring in Gateshead, 600 millivolts. I've measured up to 4,000 where people are bleeding from the nose. So what Professor Paolo Vecchi, in 2008, what he said about the guidelines. So head ICNRP. They are not mandatory prescriptions for safety. They are not the last word on the issue, and they are not defensive wall for industry or others. Your government are using this document, ICNIRP guidelines, as a defence, and they're being told not to. Now, millimetre wave exposure under these guidelines are no more than 6 minutes. You mentioned before about millimetre waves. Very dangerous, but I can tell you this. Some of the sub-gigahertz range frequency signals are just as dangerous. Just as dangerous. Let's get at the bit that I really do know about. These are phased array weapon systems. Very, very similar to the equipment that's been rolled out. I know it looks different, but it basically works on the same principle. Right, you'll see this image on the left-hand side. That's the phased array unit. That's the real deal there. All right, so this is a simulation of it. This is it here. This is it on the front of this plane. And what it allows you to do is to scan the battlefield. All right, it doesn't matter whether it's air or other. It allows you to scan the battlefield. And this is it in a civilian setting. All right, so that's it there, scanning these buildings. This is what the industry are putting out. I didn't make this up. That's radar. This is battlefield interrogation radar. And that's it, scanning your home. These things outside scan your home. Has anybody told you? Has your council told you that they're scanning your home? They may not be gathering data, but I can tell you who is. The Chinese. We've all heard about it. MI6 is up in arms. That's what they can see. That's a 3D mapping image from microwave radiation signals in the sub-gigahertz range looking into your home. I can see your sovereigns. I can see your property. I can see you, especially if I've sprayed a little aluminium on you. So I can basically see you. And this is really for the dystopian future when they've got RFID tags on everything. They're talking about wanting RFID tag you, whether people allow them to or not. That'll increase your cancer risk significantly because it acts as an antenna, and that radiation is in fact class 1 cancer-causing radiation. Sell it. Really good point. The reason for the information is because so that, let's say when you throw your RFID tag is on your can of pop, you stick it in the bin, you put it in the wrong bin, you're going to get a fine. You put it in the right bin, you go back into your, there's a smart city, you go and look for them, smart city nonsense, you go back into your living room, and up pops on your smart TV a nice image for a replacement. And your local authority are going to sell that data to the highest bidder. Yeah. These are autonomous weapons platforms, right? The reason why they're autonomous is because of the toxicity of the radiation on the battlefield from these weapons. Do you know the bit I was telling you about before where I invented the thing for the helmet? It's to protect people on the battlefield. And this, it's so toxic. This is where governments are spending all your money, on automation on the battle space. All right, let's come to a town near you. This is a really interesting document, latest research. Like I said, I only do the science. I'm not here to frighten anybody. What I'm here is to wake people up. It is incumbent on everybody in this room to take this information and spread it far and wide. You're fighting for your life, you just don't know it yet. You will do by the time I'm finished, by the way, and I will give you the fix. I'm not here to terrify people, I'm going to tell you how we'll fix it. Human carcinogen, class IERC, group 1. Alright, this is battlefield interrogation. It's identical to what they've stuck on the light system outside your buildings. They're scanning your homes with the IERC Group 1 cancer-causing radiation. That's one of the latest. There's the NTP, there's the Ramsini Institute. All of the latest scientific research says this technology is extremely hazardous. You know the bit before when I was telling you about the dielectric lens? Remember the green antenna? This is 5G in the Olympics. Shooting wild boar. It acts, says there, acting systems that shoot rays. How do you shoot a ray? You shoot it using that small little dielectric lens I showed you before. It allows you to collimate the signal. So you take that wider power range, you stick it a bit like a laser in layman's terms, and you fire it as a signal. Believe it or not, I'm saying that it's for autonomous vehicles. I can tell you now, if they're testing it on wild boar in the jungle, any weapon system you test on porcine, 7.62 rounds, fire a couple into pigs, chop them up and see what they look like. That's telling me something absolutely appalling. That's a test. But the small meters, 2 minutes exposure, these are human bloods. You see this thing on the right hand side, that's a relay. Right? Microwave radiation causes this to people's blood. It's all damage. But this one on the right is really interesting because it causes that. That's what we get in Gateshead. It's what really annoys us when you get people who tell me I'm a scaremonger and I've got countrymen, women and their children. This child's father's here tonight, Lee. I brought him so people can ask him. Yes. Absolutely. Barry Trower said a very interesting thing. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Brilliant. Thought you were a scaremonger. Yeah. Yeah. Great. I think I'll take you with me. Do an experiment. Thanks. Barry Trower said anybody that exposes children to microwave radiation should go to prison and have the key thrown away. I agree with him. Well, unfortunately, the political class, etc., are pretty dim, and it's been deliberate. It's a deliberate ploy that we've ended up with some of the stupidest people in some of the let's say wielding the greatest power. This is what we have to do. Is change that. We most certainly do. You've hit the nail right on the head. Well, that's what they're all sitting in Parliament with Wi-Fi. It is absolutely. It's unbelievable. Microwave pollution. They're telling them in India what's going on. We don't know. This was the NTP study. This is non-thermal microwave radiation. Cordial schwannoma. That's what it does to your heart. David Smales was part of my. You know how Gated Council. Anybody that knows me knows about my case. About how the council tried to gag me, get us sent to court, get us sent to prison. Obviously, they picked on the wrong guy. One of my victims' statements in the court case was a guy called David Smales. David Smales' wife had died of a rather strange brain cancer from these transmitters. I was pretty sure that's what caused it. And David, unfortunately, died 2 days before the trial. His heart packed up. And I blame the transmitters outside his bedroom window. He was hitting 1300 millivolts. The maximum I can expose you to is 2. That's the Council of Europe 1850 resolution. I see an IRP guidelines behind. They can cook you. And they're currently talking about relaxing those guidelines because it doesn't fit 5G. Absolutely unbelievable. Miscarriages rates triple for women. This is recent research. We've got the full, this is right as press release, but this is full research there. Brain tumours now the most frequent form of cancer in the US in adolescents. It's not scaremongering. This is a matter of fact. This is a smoking gun. This is quite interesting. This is women in particular suffering stroke. In the same areas, over the same period, young men, 15%, these are 38% increase. 15% in young men. The only difference between young men and young women, on average, is head size. One of the only protections you have from microwave radiation is body density. So consequently, I'm saying, I don't care what anybody else says, that tells me that microwave radiation may in fact be the main causal factor. What a catastrophe to an economy. These idiots, these telecoms companies, it's all about the money. Well, I'm telling you, this is economic terrorism. Never mind the human cost, which is absolutely appalling. These monsters, I know what I'd do with them. Right? But the economic cost, because there's always this, it's all about money. This isn't about money. This is an attack on your economy. It's an attack on your country. Martin Pal, anybody want to check him out? Neurological disorders from microwave radiation, because it not only causes nosebleeds, it causes neurological issues. And that's why we've got self-harm, especially in young girls. So children, young girls, and women in particular are on the front line in relation to this. It's an attack on them. It's an attack on everybody. But obviously men, fortunately, we've got a little bit more body density. But it's about time we stood up and started to fight back. So that's what I'm doing. 300,000 people lose jobs with mental health every year. Interesting, isn't it? Crohn's. All of these can be linked to this technology. Now, I hope everybody can see that. The horse I'm talking about, right? This is 5G. It's a Trojan horse. So much so, even the US are decentralizing their security systems. If they can't control what's going on there, do you think your local council can control what's going on those lights outside? Because I can tell you now, they cannot. It's from China anyway. They didn't know what 5G was. I've already warned them. I've already told them. Every councillor in that chamber has been warned from me and has had the scientific documentary evidence. Do you know what they think? They think I'm scaremongering. They'll not be when we see them in prison, because that's where they should be, because they have a duty of care and they are in breach of the law. What we're about is the law. It's exactly what I'm coming to in a minute, and I'm going to implore everybody in this room to get involved with what we're going to do, because we're acting as a spearhead to attack this attack on us. We're going head on with them. This is a picture from Sheffield. Obviously, you know, I keep talking about the police. There's not enough of them about. There's not enough to do, you know, to come in if you get burgled or anything like that, to come and help you. There's a lot of them there, so they can chop down people's trees. These are trees in Gateshead. You can see they're taking them down. There's nothing wrong with them. They're cutting them back hard so that they'll die. There's a couple of purposes there. The leaves on the trees, especially when they get wet, they take the energy to ground. It's our protection, but not only that. The amount of transmitters that are there, they're charging the air. And if they take that charge to ground, it kind of gas you easily. Because if you gas air with this energy, it can be really, really problematic. Here's an interesting thing. Now, I don't know if anybody knows, my YouTube channel, the Save Us Now Movements channel, was actually taken down. I'd put this latest video up. Google obviously took a little bit of interest in it, so took it down. I don't like that because obviously, see these Chinese cabs? Chinese company makes these. 30 minutes maximum exposure tests. These guys drive them all day. And you know when they test them very low speed. The faster you put your foot on that pedal, the more energy that electric motor has to run off, and the more radiation enters the cabin. So there hasn't been any real test with these experimental cabs that the Mayor of London's forcing these cabbies into. You wouldn't live under them, would you? So why would you drive an electric car? Has anybody here driving an electric car? Anybody thought about driving an electric car? I'll just put you off and I'm like, get in. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Right. Here's a really interesting thing. You know, Tesla wouldn't allow. SINTEF did the test, by the way, on all these electric cars. Tesla wouldn't allow them to do a test on theirs. That's quite interesting. This year, there's a lithium-ion battery explosion. That's toxic. Can you imagine one of them going off in a city? The hundreds of millions of pounds it would. That's like a dirty bomb. Seriously. You know, they were all worried about the dirty bomb. The mainstream media covered it for quite a bit. It was just a load of nonsense anyway. All you have to do is go and buy yourself a Tesla and put a torch on their believers. That's absolutely lethal. Anybody attending those fire brigade, they'll die. You see these fire brigade guys here? They'll die. Absolutely. Yeah. Massive. Lithium ion. You breathe it in, you have to clean it up. So how do you clean it up? The lithium toxicity, when that explosion goes off, right, that will travel through buildings, travels right across, actually gets into brickwork. You then have to clean it up because you've got a hazmat issue, and no one, not one organisation is organised to clean up. The residual toxicity of the lithium ion is killed. We'll go on to the next one because I'll cover the whole thing for you, alright? Because it's really interesting. Right, that's battlefield interrogation systems. They're lethal. Alright? LiDAR is class 1 laser. It'll not put your eye out, but it'll not do it very much good. I'm driving down the road, so you're driving down the road, you've got one of these comes up behind you, there's a LiDAR on the top. You've got 3 mirrors in your car. If I shine this at you, I won't, but if I do, so that laser, that's class 1, it's assault. That's assault. That is a class 1 laser. It's not, by the way, it's probably a class 2. I say it's a class 1 to get away with what they're trying to get away with, but I can tell you its speed, probably with the PD, has to be a class 2. So that's, I always like to do, try and give them the benefit of the doubt. That's a class 1. That class 1 laser goes into those 3 mirrors, alright, directly at your eyes, at a frequency that you cannot see. If I shine that laser into your eye does a thing called saccades. It rattles in the back of your eye, and it stops it from damaging a particular spot. It's a protective mechanism. You only get a bright light coming in. So if I shine this, so it won't cause a significant amount of damage. The LiDAR on the top of there operates in part of the spectrum that you can't see. So consequently, you're driving down the road, you've got one of these lunatics up behind you. Oh, my eyes on, very good. I would like the one behind us for a couple of hours. Now this is your government's plan, your plot. So, we've got autonomous vehicles. That's all radar. All class 1 cancer-causing radiation travelling through the cabin. So you've got a class 1 cancer-causing radiation on all them vehicles. They don't go that far, you know. That's just a picture. Some of the signals travel over 15 kilometres. So you've got all these vehicles over 15 kilometres down that motorway, all pumping radiation, and I'm going to tell you now, the toxicity level on the motorway would be catastrophic to life. So, why is your government pushing an agenda to roll out all of this? Because you haven't been included, because you're a biological structure, and that will kill you. Doesn't look like they're doing a lot of thinking at this, in these government agencies, are they? Because they're spending hundreds of millions of pounds of your money researching this, so that they're forcing you into them, forcing the London cabbies into these electric vehicles. I'm being tested. There's no risk assessment. Well, SINTEF did this research on the electric vehicles, but obviously they're only to ICNIRP guidelines, and that's only for a couple of minutes. Taxi driver drives a vehicle for 8 hours, 12 hours. Those transmitters outside on those lights, we're talking about thermal impact values for 6 minutes. They're on 24 hours a day. It's continuous transmission. Right across the world. No, I don't. No, the technology. Let's put this to one side, right? The agenda and the policy. This technology came out of Germany. Came out of Germany under Operation Paperclip. It went to California, and it was developed in California, and it's an American weapon system. All right. It went to China to be built. I'm not saying that there's not companies in Israel's got something to do with this and all the rest of it, but I'm going to tell you now, right, it is not one country, it is a number of countries, but the main people behind this are Luciferians. This is the devil's work. Absolutely. That's who's behind this. Can only be. Because this is here to kill mankind. Absolutely. You just said... Remember what school this guy? Is anybody in? They're not listening. They're either compromised, they are just really stupid. You do get some really stupid people. Just had one there, leave there before. He thinks I'm scaremonger and I'm just trying to give him some facts. BBC have got a lot to do with it. They do try and program people. Yes, you're correct. Right. He has a really interesting one. Right. See that band there? This is really interesting. Talking about universal forces and Luciferian things. I actually invented a carbon cracking reactor. I got stuck into a job. I was working for Shell, and one of the main technologists there, I ended up having to get, to go and do this particular job, and I thought, carbon sequestration, and then pumping it back down. Oh, something very strange there. And I thought, just doesn't make sense. I've got a better idea. I'll come up with an invention, make myself a few bob. So anyway, I invented a carbon cracker, a reactor, basically to break down the covalent bonds, right, in carbon dioxide. And I thought, hey, what a great invention. Did some work at Strathclyde University anyway. So I knew, see some of these frequencies, you can break covalent bonds with frequencies. Right? So I thought, this looks quite interesting. 60 gigahertz. It's attenuated in air. It gets stuck in oxygen molecules. So Ofcom want to hand it out for free. Why would they be wanting to use 60 gigahertz? Let's have a look. You know my invention? It looks something like that. They are hanging on telegraph poles in America today. This is 5G in America, by the way. We've got really clever targeted quivering weapon systems hanging on our streetlights. The Americans have got these. You know what they are? They're not telecoms. Verizion might think they're telecoms. But what they look like to me is molecular reactors. And how they work as a molecular reactor, take the air in there. When you heat that up, it actually acts as a vent. See how it's open at the bottom? And you see that there? Because the elements inside, the radiators inside get that hot, you've got to have coolers. So you know the cooler boxes? If you look at your 5G boxes now, you know the one with the elongated top hat? Go and have a look at the boxes. See how much equipment's there. See how much cooling equipment's there. Tells me they're going to throw a lot of energy in there. Yeah? You throw a lot of energy into there, you start to gas the air. Gas it in not a nice way. Gas it in a noxious way. Change the molecular structure so your hemoglobin can't pick it up. If I disassociate, hey, that's interesting, isn't it? O2. O2, a telecoms company. Anybody seen anything yet? You know, in plain sight. So we've got O2, a telecoms company. I throw 60 gigahertz in, a bit of PD. The next minute, I've got a load of oxygen atoms kicking around. Good job he did. Go, you'll be frightened now. I've really frightened him, haven't I? And then all of a sudden, those oxygen atoms attached to oxygen molecules end up with O3. At 50 parts per million, it'll kill all life. Absolutely. Well, that's what they look like to me. What are they? I've been speaking to somebody in the US government, right? And they said to me, Mark, watch one of your videos. You know, the ones that Google took down. And I said, all right. I want to send you some pictures. Not them pictures, but similar pictures. These were in New York. And they said, this particular person said, they are experts in their field. Yeah, in the telecommunications field. They said, they're not telecommunications. We know they're not telecommunications. Can you tell me what they are? So the molecular reactors. Interesting. So the Americans know. Really interesting. Because obviously I don't want to depress everybody. I'm going to tell you how we fix it. Alright, that's what we're here for. Not here to depress people. I'm here to give you a bit of a lift up. We'll go home and go, no more, we're going to do this. Woodland Trust. This is how deceptive these organisations are. Right? The Woodland Trust state, hello Graham, there's currently no truth to suggestions linking the rollout of 5G infrastructure to the felling of trees. There isn't. How does the Woodland Trust know? Who's told them? So somebody's told the Woodland Trust there's nothing in it. They're chopping down all your trees, but it's got nothing to do with 5G. How do they know? I mean, it's absolutely... They must think we are absolutely stupid. People that watch the BBC might be. Alright, so... But we're not, are we? We're not that stupid. Woodland Trust must think we are. Here's the fix. This is a document on the Save Us Now website. Somebody needs to save one. Alright? And here's some direction about doing it. 5G. The rollout of 5G is an indictable crime. Right? I know it is, because I know it's in breach of the Nuremberg Code, and that is most certainly a crime against humanity and is an indictable crime. Now, at the minute, we've got a load of police officers running around protecting people chopping down trees. That's also a humanitarian crime, by the way. But there will come round eventually when enough of us get together, because it is we that pay their wages, not the clowns that protect them. Right. And what it says here is, it's uninsurable, which we already knew that, and dangerous, and will kill all biological life. We already know that, because you see them reactors? That's 5G. It's different 5G to the one we've got, but it's 5G. That'll kill all life. It was developed for the battlefield. We know that for a fact. And it has no safe role in towns, cities or countries. We also know that for a fact. Now the following letter should be sent by email and registered post. So you must make sure you know who they are. Get their names, company directors, shareholders, employees, councils, councillors, politicians, media and others who are ignoring the law. They are in breach of the law. Many laws. It's a good idea, but I'll go for the little guys first. Because most of these companies and organisations who are rolling out 5G, that Quango's run out to universities. I had a professor in tears last week, Teesside University. She's got her name on the rollout of 5G. And I rang her and I said, you've rolled out 5G, it's an indictable offence. What I'm saying to you here is, because it's really interesting, up to now, we didn't really know whether the industry behind the scenes had all this data and said it was perfectly safe, blah, blah, blah. We now know for a fact, they've admitted in a congressional hearing, February the 7th, there is no research to show that this is safe. That means it's in breach of the Nuremberg Code and is most certainly an indictable offence. So what we're saying to them is, you may not have known, right, to mitigate, if they carry on with 5G today, it shows intent to do harm. If I walk down the street and I bump into somebody, it's an accident. If I walk down the street and I knock into somebody deliberately, it's assault. One carries with it a potential prison sentence. The other, it's an accident. Somebody might want to sue you in a court for it, but it's a lot less. It's a lot less serious. So let's say I've inadvertently been involved in a 5G company, and somebody comes along to me, I've got a nice house, pension, and I'm just about up to retirement or other, and somebody comes along and says, it's an indictable crime, cease and desist, otherwise, can you imagine what the prison sentence is going to look like? Because this is murder. It's treason, it's murder, it's all those things. And our numbers are growing. Our numbers are growing across the world. People are waking up. Fact. They are running for the hills. We are far too early. Because of the work of me and others to bring this to the public's attention, not scaremongering, telling them they're fighting for their lives. They just don't know it. I'm telling people, you're fighting for your life. You are. Fact. It's fight back time. Absolutely. We actually have, currently, it's really interesting, because we're in a church, and the chapel, it's quite an interesting document there, because it's talking about Luciferians before. Right? There is a spiritual war going on. Right? And this is a spiritual awakening. The sun is rising and waking humanity up. This was prophesied. This came to me in a vision from God. I didn't know where it came from, and I didn't know about the prophecy. Since then, people have come to me from around the world and mentioned this prophecy. I was blown away with it. I couldn't believe what I was being told, but there you have it. We've got 3 cases. I'm up in court on the 28th of March for an appeal against a conviction and a sentence where counsellors came to my home to make false allegations against me to get me gagged, because they didn't like what I was saying either. Said I was frightening people, terrifying the vulnerable. While they're trying to kill my countrymen, women and children, they were saying I was frightening them by telling them the truth, trying to wake them up. That case on the 28th. Take note. It's only a couple of weeks away, right? Listen in. Watch for what happens. It's going to be monumental. It's historic. Council are trying to commit us back to prison. Right? We are going on the offensive. I've got barristers, we've got the science, we have all the science. I'm confident to stand here, put my life at risk to tell you what's going on. Because believers have had threats, I've had the windows smashed, I've had all of that nonsense. I don't care. They do not frighten me. And they shouldn't frighten anybody in this room, because we have God on our side. The case is really important. Get involved. All right? We're raising a fund to take this fight to our adversary. They know we're coming, but make no mistake about it, we've got the law, right? We've got the law we have right on our side. That's what really matters. Alright? Thanks for coming, everybody. I hope I didn't terrify too much. Yes, go on. Yeah.
Is it wise not to have a smart meter in the house?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Tell them to go and stick it where the sun doesn't shine.